name is Chukwudi Joseph. I'm the ED and CFO for Porter Capital. And I'm going to talk to you about finance and investment. So, is anyone excited to hear about money? Yes! Let's have a seat. Thank you. Wow. I see a lot of bright and wonderful faces here. Thank you, sir. You guys are doing well. You guys are doing well. I've seen your act. I've followed you guys' your stories up to now. And one thing I must say is that I'm really, really proud of the Nigerian youth. I am really, really proud of Nigeria. Not just because I'm a youth. I'm a youth anyways. But not just because I'm a youth, but because I've seen what the average Nigerian. I've seen the potential of the average Nigerian youth. And I know that it's not something that can be shoved under the carpet. I know that if we work on our dreams and work on our goals, right, we'll meet ourselves at the very top. And I want to assure you guys that it's not about competing amongst yourselves. Just like what I've seen over time, I've seen that you guys are really good with teamwork. You guys are able to fuse yourselves in together and bring out real value. I've seen the talents that are inherent in every one of you. And I know that if you drill down very well, right, everyone, like I said, will be able to meet at the top. So, like I said, I'm here to talk about finance and investment. I'm here to talk about money. When you see an Igbo man like this, you talk about money. You understand? Yes. Now, but before we talk about finance and investment for the average Nigerian youth, we need to talk about earning power, right? All of you seated here, everyone that is seated here, in the next 1 week, right? Yes. In the next 1 week, we are all going to be exposed to our earning capacity. When I'm talking about earning capacity, the ability to earn money, right? Because you've all been equipped with something. You all came in here with skills, with a lot of talents, and you've been refined. So you're going to go out there and you're going to start earning money, like it or not. In fact, it is the fact. You guys are going to go out there and going to start earning money. Not just even about the person that comes first or the person that takes home the prize car and the money that are associated with it, right? Everyone that goes out there is going to be met with a lot of opportunities to make money, right? So how do you harness it? How do you optimize that earning potential that you're going to have at this point? That's what I'm just here to talk about. I'm sure that you guys must have been taught a lot of things, but this is very, very crucial to seeing that all of us maximize our goals and optimize our capacities. You understand? You all are looking very good. And I'll say welcome. Welcome on board. Yeah. So first things first. First things first. When we talk about personal finance, does anybody know anything about personal finance and what it means? If you've gotten similar trainings about personal finance or money management and all that, do they teach that in schools? Yes. Not business studies or personal finance management. Okay. So this is a very integral part that we all in our formative years are meant to learn. These are the things that we see our contemporaries do outside the country, and we see that they started doing it at a very young age. You understand? You see a lot of billionaires, if you look at their stories, they started investing, they started working on their personal finance at a very, very young age. You understand? And if you don't get it right, you find out, that's why you see people calling a fool at 40. Or you see someone wondering about, and then maybe you see someone that had money before, and then everything was squandered. You see footballers that go out there, they come back, and then they are hungry and all that, begging for money. We see that with a lot of Nigerian celebrities, a lot of footballers that where they reach the peak of their careers. It's possible they were not earning as much as they could have been earning right now, but during that time, they were at the peak of their careers too. And if there was any capacity at that time, they were at the top of that career. So they earned as much as other people in their prime too. But what happened to it? Because they couldn't manage it. You understand? And that is not going to be any of his portion here. Amen. No, it's not a prayer. It's not a prayer. Do you know why it's not a prayer? If you don't leave it out, it's not going to work for you. Yes. But I'm sure that with the training that has been impacted in you guys, everybody is going to live to the top of their career and achieve their potential here. So let me just dive straight in. The first thing we're going to talk about in this thing is, we've spoken about earning potential, which is the fact that everybody that is going to live here has the potential to earn money. We see a lot of young people doing things like content creation. You see people that just come up from obscurity, and all of a sudden they are there earning millions of naira. But what do? Is it to go and buy the latest Venza or the latest Lexus? Do you understand? But that's what happens to most people. We place the minor before we do the major, which is not right. You understand? And the only way to build enduring wealth, I'm talking about enduring wealth, wealth that your children will be grateful to you for, right, is that if you do the right things at the right time. Trust me, there's time for everything. There's time for you to flange, there's time for you to chill, but there's also time for you to drill it down. And I believe that we are all at the time whereby we have the energy to drill it down. All of us have the energy, have the time to drill it down. You understand? You guys have much more time. I think the average age I can see here is about maybe 22, 23, right? Hope I'm 20. That's good. So I see a lot of potential in you guys. So about personal finance, the first thing, like I said, is that you need to have earning capacity. And earning capacity is directly tied to your skills. What you have, what have you studied, what are you going to show forth, what are you giving for those that are going to be employed, what are you giving your employer, for those that are going to be employers of labor, what value are you adding to the community that is going to make people buy your services or pay for your services? You understand? And I know that the average Nigerian youth has a lot of earning potential, because you see someone that probably doesn't even go to have a 9 to 5, but that person is earning dollars. That person is doing content creation for someone. That person is managing social media account for someone. That person is a musician. That person is an actor, is an actress. A lot of things happen. And these things add value to ourselves. So now, we've talked about the earning potential. It means that all of us have the ability to manage our finances at this point. So how do you manage it? The first thing I'll talk about is drawing up a budget. In simple terms, I think someone can just give me what a budget means. We've heard about budget a lot of times. Can anyone give me what you feel is the correct definition of a budget? Go ahead.
Money set aside to do something.
Okay. Another person.
A budget is a breakdown of expenditure and income for a set year.
I'm happy about that, because when you talk about budget, two things are very important. Those are the major component of any budget. Income and what?
Expenditure.
What does that mean? Income, we talk about any potential. That's income. If you render content creation services to a company and then they pay you, maybe you do, because you're a Gen Z person, you can maximize your time, and then you can offer that same service to like 5 or 6 companies at the same time, and they're all paying you 150K every month, right? I'm just saying, off the back of my head. It means that if you're managing for 6 people, you're almost getting 900,000 naira every month, right? That's earning potential. That's income. So what happens to your income? They are all inflows into your account. You understand? Now, when you drop that income, all the various income, you put them on one side of the budget, and then on the other side, you list. I'm trying to be very basic as I can, so that we get everybody to flow together. So on the other side, you have what you call your expenditure. That's where you set aside money for fuel, money for your girlfriend, money for flanjo, and money for other things. Now, on the two sides, there's not meant to be balance. There's meant to be either a deficit or a surplus.
Yes.
Because if there's a balance, it means that everything they're getting is what's spent.
Yes, sir.
And we find ourselves back to where you were the previous month. So you can either add value to yourself or reduce your value by managing your budget very well. You understand? So if you've drawn up a list of all the possible incomes, and then on that other part of the budget, you have your expenses, right? You can either achieve a deficit or a surplus. Now, when you achieve a deficit, it means that maybe all those PAMPay agents are always calling you because you're owing them now.
Yes.
Abi?
Yes.
But if you have a surplus, it means that what you're spending on is less than what you're getting. And the ideal way for us to have a surplus is that we intentionally create avenues for that surplus. How do you intentionally create an avenue for that surplus? You take out some money. So I don't think you're meant to save after you spend. You're meant to save first, then you now spend. So if you're going to be earning 900K every month, I'm not sure the payments come at the same time, right? Because you must have gotten different engagements. So once you get the first 150K, we're all young people, we can save up to 30% of our income, because I don't expect any of you to have family billings at this point, right? Expected, not on a normal circumstance. No, I say on a normal circumstance. I'm sure some people here may have children and say, we don't know. Okay. No, it may not be your direct children. It could be anybody. It could be one of your guidance. You're trying to take care of and all that. But let's say you do 30% of your income as your savings. That is you intentionally bringing out a surplus for yourself. So what that means is that for every 150K that comes to you, what's 30% of that?
45,000.
Thank you, 45K. Right? So
Yes, sir.
you allocate 30% of that, that's 45K, to your savings. Automatically, you started creating a surplus. So it means that from the remaining 105K that you have, you can allocate money for your fuel, you can allocate money for your faji, you can allocate money for your girlfriends, anything you want to do. That's basically for you to enjoy yourself. So when you start doing these things intentionally, right, we can now evolve into more deeper forms of personal finance, which talking about savings, talking about investment, talking about money management, and talking about finally wealth creation. That's where we are all meant to go for. Once you get to the point that you're now creating wealth, you see that at that point, you don't rub shoulder with your mates anymore because your mind's ahead of them. Do you understand? But on the flip side, if you do not take this seriously by virtue of taking out your managing your finances very well, keeping that savings very well for yourself, what happens is that you'll be riddled with debt. Because as we are all leaving this place, we are, like I said, we are all going out with something, with value. Now, if we don't manage that fame that we've all gotten at this point, that's where we get to see what is this person buying now. That's what you're looking at, what is this person spending money on. Meanwhile, there's no, they say now who first buy car buy old model. You understand? Now who first buy car will buy old model. So if that thing you're in a hurry to go and spend money on, it may not be really worth it for you. Do you understand? So I'm talking about the flip side now. If you don't really take these things as seriously as they should, you find out that aside from having pamper agents following you up and down, you don't have self-confidence. There's a confidence that comes with having money in your account. Oh my God. See, there's this confidence that comes with having money in your account, of having disposable income. Do you understand? Nobody can talk to you. As a lady, you go for dates confident enough that nobody can talk to you anyhow. Do you understand? But if you don't do the right thing, you guys are just talking like this. If you don't do the right thing, you cannot have this confidence because you'll be scared. What if the person refuses to pay? But you guys are already way above that anyways. So I'm happy for you guys. But then we have people watching what we're doing currently, right? And this is a message to everybody, right? If you do not develop that confidence, if you do not develop yourself, you can never have that confidence that comes with having money in your bank account. So we talked about personal finance. What does it mean to have a budget? What does it mean to be in control of your finances? Being able to allocate for your various needs and all that, right? I think for us as young people, like I said, we can comfortably say that it's okay, it's very okay for us to save 30% of our income. I mean, that is a very good standard. It's not like the best, neither is it among the worst, right? So if you as a young person can comfortably save 30% of your income, trust me, if you can build that culture from where you are, the average age here is 20. If you can build that culture from where you are right now, in your 50s, right, you have yourself to thank for it. And I'm going to give you an analogy. But before I give you that analogy, let me talk about debt. Because why am I talking about debt? They say they owe, you know the show face. So why did I say that? A lot of people might have debt that they are paying. Right? And debt is not a bad thing. But it's bad when you let it overwhelm you. Do you understand? It is bad when you allow debt, that's loans, to overwhelm you. First off, how do you manage debt? I'm taking my time to talk about this because debt is an integral part of our life as human beings. I'm a financier. That's what I do for a living, right? We give loans. But I know that I've seen what debt can do to a man. When I mean a man, I'm being figurative here. So I've seen what debt can do to a man. And I know that if it's not properly managed, it can lead to, you see people having depression, people going to commit suicide and the likes, people being indoors, they're not able to face their friends when they're talking, and the likes. And like I said, you cannot have that confidence that comes with having money in your account. So how do you manage debt? Assuming some persons, either here or outside here, has a debt on their head and it's overwhelming, how do you manage it? The first thing that I would advise anybody to do, there are 3 steps that I usually advise people to do. First off is negotiate Sorry, before even talking about the steps, the first thing you should do if you're in debt is to ensure that there's an open communication between you and your lender. I'm saying this as a financier, right? So I have every experience to give it to you guys. Like, the first thing you should do, there are people that are owing, but they are not kept under so much pressure because they're having an open line of communication with their lender. Not the one that if they are calling you, they're entering the front of your house, you're going out through the back of your house, and the likes. Do you understand? So first thing you're meant to have is that have a very open line of communication between you and your lender. Lender is the person that sent you money or lent you money, right? Or your debtor. Now, in managing this debt, right, one of the first things that you can do is because you have a line of communication, you can beg for a longer payment period. Why am I asking you to beg for a longer payment period? Remember, we're talking about managing your personal finance. And in managing your personal finance, we talk about the incomes and the expenditures. Remember, debt payment is under what?
Expenditures.
Thank you. So if you keep allowing your expenditures to overwhelm all your income, it means you are still in further debt. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So, like I said, negotiate with your debtor for having longer payment period. What that means is that if I'm meant to pay him, if I'm owing my debtor 1 million naira and I'm meant to pay in 2 months, I told him I'll pay in 2 months, and then the business you're meant to do has not yielded that much returns, right? What do? Please, can you help me extend this? If it's not maybe bearing so much interest, please, can you help me extend this to maybe 1 year? What does that mean? Instead of paying 500,000 naira every month, I'm now paying how much? 83,000 naira every month for 12 months. So what that means? It means that if I'm earning 900K as my income, right? At least I have the potential to save some more money. You understand? And when I'm managing my debt, I'm also starting to build my own financial empire. Do you understand? So that's the first step I always advise. Try to see how you can get a longer payment period if the interest burden is not so much. You understand? And why am I saying this is because it's easier to pay small amount than to put lump sums. I mean, if you're expecting something big, something huge, just like Sabinus would usually say, right? If you're expecting something huge, it's okay to just pay off that debt and move on, especially when it's accruing high interest. So that's the first step. Negotiate for a longer payment period. Please, I am going to allow for a lot of questions and answers towards the end of this session because it's very, very important that we're very, very clear as to what to do and how to manage our finances. So the first step I talk about is to negotiate for a longer payment period. The second step is to what? Cut down your expenses. Remember, there are only so few things for you to do because under your budget table, you have only the incomes and the expenditure. You don't have many things there. It's just the income and the expenditure. So you have to work on either increasing your income or reducing your expenditure. One thing you can do in managing your debt is that you can reduce your expenditure. If you initially budgeted 100K for Faji, why are you balling when you're owing someone money? Reduce it to 20K and use that 80K to pay down on that debt. Do you understand? So when you do that, you find out that you can pay off that debt in a faster time than you initially imagined you'd be able to do. So it's a lifestyle choice. Our lifestyle choices really come to play when debt is concerned, when money management is concerned. So the second thing that I've spoken about is, what did I say?
Cut down your expenses.
Cut down your expenses, thank you. The third thing, which is what most people forget to do, is very, very important. You can see a young guy like this having 3 ACs in his house, 2 TVs, 1 in the room and 1 in the parlor. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, it's not bad. These are things that will help us live out our potential. I mean, if you need to have that, it's good, it's cool. But why do you need to have so much assets? I call them dead assets because you don't need them. So any unnecessary asset that you have, if you can convert it to cash and pay off your debtors. You know why? You can always get those things again. You can always get them again. But what debt to do to you, or what bad debt to do to you, is that it blocks the way for you to access more credit when you really need it.
Yes.
In the future, you need to do a good business, but because there's one guy that you've been owing, let's say for example, he's in a company, a financial institution, you've been owing that company, and you refuse to pay them, they've blacklisted your name everywhere, gone to all the credit bureaus and blacklisted your names. You can't access any more financing. But then there'll be a day that you need money to do something. You call on your, maybe you call one of your friends that works in the bank or something that please help me arrange this 50 million naira facility for me. And then the person is checking through. But you're owing this person now. At that point, you'll be at that person's mercy because if that person said that the interest from all that time is 17 million on top of that small money you give him, you have to pay it. Because you need that person to clear off your name from that year before this banker can finance you. Do you understand? So you see why we need to manage our debt. Now, if we've been able to understand how to manage our debt, how to manage our incomes, how to plan for our savings and all that, I'm going to wow you guys. I said I'm going to give you an analogy, right? Everybody here wants to retire well, right? Yes. What's the average age that you want to retire? You want to stop work? You want to start chilling, living a lifestyle that you want? What's the average age? Let me just give me a random number. What? 45, right? What number? 60.
60.
What number? 60. So if I'm to take an average age of retirement, you guys like enjoyment too much, yo. Even professors is 65 days to retire. anyways, it's not bad. If you work really hard, you can achieve those things. That's what we talked about, achieving your dreams. You can really do that. Now, if I'm meant to take an average out of that number, between 45 and 60, it falls maybe around 52 or 53, right?
Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. So now, let me wow you. At that 53, just give me a number, in naira amount anyways. Just give me a realistic number that you want to retire with. Just as in, let that be the amount of cash. I'm not talking about assets. So just let that be just a realistic number in maybe, it can be any amount. Just give me, I want to just have like 3 samples. 6 billion.
100 million.
500 million. 100 billion. Do you have a bank?
Who said 100?
That's good.
I stand with you. 100 billions.
100, that's good.
Million.
No, I said in naira now, bro. We're in Nigeria here.
300 billion.
I'm scared of you guys' goals, man. No, but it's fine, right? It's fine.
1 trillion.
What?
100 million.
100 million. Okay, let me work with the. Thank you. Let me work with your. I think you're a very smart person. I'm not saying everybody is not attainable, but I think I can work with hers because it is very, very relatable, right? Being in the finance sector, I've seen that, right? Not everybody really gets that top that you want to do, right? But I've seen that it's possible for you to achieve some numbers. Do you get? And I'm saying this with every form of experience that I've been able to see in my few years of finance. Assuming you want to retire with, let's say, 500 million. Do you know, I'm going to give you guys a secret. It's called the 8th wonder of the world. What's it?
8 wonders of the world.
Does anyone know what it is?
No.
The 8th wonder of the world is the power of compound interest. You know, I think there's a popular saying now, there are like 7 wonders of the world. Yeah. You go to some places, you see some kind of nice aesthetics and architectural stuff and all that. But the 8th wonder of the world is not something that God made. This one is compound interest. It's what finance has been able to extrapolate. That's the 8th wonder of the world. My own definition anyways. Right? And why do I say it's the 8th wonder of the world? Wonder is something that marvels you. How it happens, right? Now, if I want to retire with, let me put this in perspective. If I want to retire with 500 million in the next, what's the age again? Average age?
52.
No. The average age we got 52, right? 53, right? And the average age current is what? 20. So that's the next 30 years, right? What that means is that if I set aside, remember, we have a budget that we have already, right? Are we all following?
Yes, sir.
We're following, right? So I'm trying to draw to a very nice conclusion here. Excuse me. We have a budget that we're following. Remember, we said that because we are smart guys, we are sharp guys, we have an earning potential already. We have streaming sites that our monies are going to be coming through. So I'm using the least earning amount here as that 900K for everybody that is seated here. How many are we here? 16. For the entire 16 of us here, I'm taking the minimum amount that we're going to earn, right, based on the capacity that I'm seeing here, to be 900K. Now, inside that 900K, aside everything that you do, you put aside 100,000 naira every month in an interest-bearing account that gives you 15% annually. Trust me, I think even some banks do up to 15% or so. You understand? And this thing accrues over the period. If you put in 100,000 naira every month, now that you're 20, right, for the next 30 years, in an investment that gives you 15% annually. What is 15% annually? It means on every 1 million naira you get how much? 150,000, right? Right? So it is doable. A lot of really good asset management firms and banks offer some really mouth-watering rates. You understand? That can give you up to this amount that we're talking about here. So if you set aside 100,000 naira from that 900k that you're earning, which is the least that you can ever earn, based on your capacity, I can see here. If you do that for 30 years, remember this is a prayer, but you can make it to your lifestyle. If you do that for 30 years, do you know how much you'd have contributed? 100 times 12 is what?
100 times 12.
Times 30 is what? 36 million now, Abi?
Yeah, yes.
That's 36 million. Now, do you know what you'd have gathered in the next 30 years? You'd have gathered nothing less than 792 million naira in the next 30 years. So if you're retiring, because you're setting aside 100,000 naira every month, remember it has to be deliberate. 100,000 naira every month. It's small money. It's not money it's money that people go to club with and burn every Friday on Fridays. You understand? But if you take out that time, that diligence, and set aside that 100,000 naira every month for the next 30 years, you're going to have 792 million naira in your account by the time you're retiring. Tell me what you can do with that 792 million naira.
Invest.
I mean, there are a lot of things you can do. You can decide not to even invest and start spending that money till you die. Not everybody wants to invest for their children. I mean, I'm just saying. Not everybody. Some people like it, some people do not like it. Some people just they don't want to save for next of kin. Because of waiting next of kin don't they do these days. You understand? So, but if your desire is to set aside something for the next generation, that's what we're talking about, building a lasting legacy, building wealth. You understand? That is what those are the kind of low-hanging fruits that we can easily tap into. I'm saying low-hanging fruit because when we talk about our earning potential, this is the least that we can ever be. But as we go further in our life, as we advance in our careers, we find out that there are a lot more that we can do to ourselves. There's a lot more we can do to earn more money. But if you're doing this very basic minimum of 100,000 naira every month in an investment that gives you at least 15% annually, you are rest assured to get at least 792 million naira after that 30 years. How many 50-year-olds or 52-year-olds have 792 million naira in their account at the point of which they retire? Less than 1% of the 1% in Nigeria. I think there was a recent survey that said that I think only about 2% of Nigerians has about 500,000 naira cash. I think it was like 2018 or so. Only about 2% of Nigerians that have 500,000 naira cash. I'm not talking about assets. 500,000 naira cash in their bank accounts. And that's talking about, this was a survey that was spooled across people's BVN. When you talk about BVN, BVN links all your bank accounts together. So less than 2% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira when they add up all the money in their accounts. You understand? It's not a. That's why I'm saying it's not prayer here. It is lifestyle choices. These are things that if we do them right, they will not haunt us in the end and will help us in the end. You get? So you see that it's possible for you to live this dream that you want to. And I'm just using this amount as the very minimal amount that I'm sure you guys can do way more than that. Do you understand? So these are some ways that we can optimize our own savings culture. You understand? You don't spend before you save. You save before you spend. Do you get? These little things, we may underplay them, but when we build a lifestyle of these choices, when we make these kind of choices our lifestyle, you find out that it will be easy for you to cruise with. And habits, they say, die very hard. You understand? It's not easy to build a habit, but if you start that habit, these formative years that you guys have, one of the most important things that you guys have waiting for you is time. I mean, that's one of the most important things that you guys have right now. That's one of the most important assets. Apart from your talents, right? The second most important asset that you have right now is your time. I think it's the only first. So if you maximize the use of this time that you have right now, when the clock rolls and it gets to that point that you need to chill. Chilling comes easy at that point. You understand? At that point, holidays come easy. And remember, when you're building a lifestyle of financial discipline, right? One of the things I always advise is getting an accountability partner. Because, like I said, habits are very difficult to build. But once you get to that point that it's now a lifestyle for you, it's easy to glide. That's why people have mentors in businesses. Because they're like their accountability partners. Someone that can ask you, Alpha, you don't do them to be. Alpha, they don't pay salary. Or the Allah don't show. I don't do my own, you don't do your own. You can be the one to encourage this person today. The next day, the next month, he can be the one to encourage you. She can be the one to encourage you. You understand? It should be someone. It mustn't necessarily be your partner in terms of maybe opposite sex. It has to be an accountability partner. It can be your best friend. It can be anybody, someone that you know that is not going to carry you. I mean, not the type of way they will make you spend everything, but the type that will help you to develop this culture that you guys can build together. Do you understand? Am I communicating?
For sure, sir.
Are you guys getting the point?
Yes, sir.
So, if we talk about savings, talking about how to save, talk about how to avoid unnecessary debts, right? What is the end goal in all these things? Remember, we spoke about wealth management as the pinnacle of financial management. When you talk about wealth, it's when you have wealth you can manage it, Abi. Can you manage wealth when you have only 100k in your account? It's when you have money you can manage. You can talk about wealth management. You understand? There are some banks that before they give you their credit card, you need to have a minimum amount of dollars in your account, minimum maybe about $50,000 or so in your account before you get some kind of cards. Even in Nigeria, before you get some dollar cards from banks, the minimum amount you need to have in your account can be up to like maybe 2 million naira or so. Do you get? So that is, but there are privileges that are accessible to those things, people that have those cards, right? So when we talk about wealth management, is you must have saved a lot, right? Prepared yourself to invest. That's when you now talk about wealth, because at that point, when you are talking about investment, it's not your money that works for you. You have all the time for yourself. Remember, you can cheat nature by maximizing your time and also enjoying your time when you grow old. That's one of the life hacks. If you're able to drill in very well when you're young, manage your finances very well, you'll be able to cheat nature by maximizing your life when you're old, when you're much older. Do you understand? So, I always talk about investments with this analogy. They call it the red car theory. Is everyone listening? They call it the red car theory. And what's this theory? So, I'm sure on the day that we were all brought together, we all came from various places, right? We all came from various places, various schools and all that. It's possible you went through road. It's possible you went through air. You flew down here. It's possible you entered Kano, or maybe you entered Granot back, or whatever the case may be. You sure came here.
Yes.
Now, on your way coming here, right, you must have, if I tell you that, can you remember the number of red cars you saw when you were coming here? How many people can remember that? I mean, if you see a red car, you know, right? But if I ask you, how many red cars did you see on your way to this place? Or on your way to the, maybe the muster point that they gathered all of you together to bring you guys here? How many people can remember that? No, you can't. I'm sure you can't remember it. You can't remember it. But if I had told you that before you left your house, for every red car you saw, and you can count and you can remember, I'm going to give you 50,000 naira for that. Are you going to remember it or not? Because of what? There's an incentive to remembering. That's the same thing for investment or for savings. The incentive for savings is so that when you see an investment opportunity, you can tap into it. Now, all those red cars that you were seeing on the road, they are investment opportunities. But because there was no incentive for you to invest in all those opportunities, you couldn't do it. I don't know if you follow me.
Yes, sir.
So, if you were well prepared as to having enough firepower in your account, that, okay, because these opportunities, they are always there. The opportunities are always there. At the beginning of last year, Transcorp, you know Transcorp?
Yes.
Transcorp, the shares was trading at, I think, 1 naira 6 kobo or so. At the beginning of last year, that's, I think, today is January 4th, right? As at January 4th last year, I think it was trading between 1 naira 3 kobo, 1 naira 6 kobo. But currently, that share, Transcorp, is trading at 10 naira 47 kobo. So imagine if you had put 1 million naira in that stock. You had maybe, let's say, 1 million unit of Transcorp. You bought it with maybe 1,70,000 naira as at beginning of January or maybe December last 2 years ago, in 2022. By now, you'd have been 9 million naira richer on that investment line alone. So when we talk about opportunities, these are the opportunities that we talk about. But assuming you saw, Transcorp is 1 naira 60 kobo now, but I want to invest, I don't have money to invest. It means we are not prepared. So that's when they say when opportunity meets preparedness, is bound to be an explosion. You understand? So these are simple ways that we can see how we can develop a lifestyle that we can work with, that we can manage, that we can build with. We are young people. Like I said, one of the best assets that we have is our time. And if we manage it well, if we manage our time well, all things being equal. I'm saying all things being equal because we live in Nigeria, but we hope for things to get better. So all things being equal, if you manage your time very well, do the right thing you're meant to do, you have your future self will have your younger self to thank for it. So we've spoken about various things today. We've spoken about what personal finance is, managing your financial health. We've spoken about how our earning potential. We've spoken about our debt, that's drawing up a budget. Spoken about investments. Spoken about no, not necessarily investments. Spoken about having a savings culture, right?
Yes.
We've spoken about debt, managing debt, right? I'm going to talk about doing the investment at this point now. Because, like I said, just like I have that analogy, if you did not know, if you didn't have any incentive to count those red cars, there will be no motive to count those cars. But because you know that you're saving towards counting up, I'm taking an active savings towards putting this money into an investment that will pay me in the future, you'll be more alert as to looking out for those opportunities because they are always there. Now, for investment, once you've done all this, you've saved very well. At the end of the year, you have, let's say, maybe you've been able to save maybe 5 million naira, and you're ready to invest at the end of that year or for the next year. What are the things that you can do to invest as a young person? Excuse me. Can anyone give me any examples? Has anyone done any investment before? I'm not talking about MMMO and the likes, or those ones that you bring two people to bring two people. Yeah, can you tell me about the investment journey?
Yeah, there's this thing in the bank where you drop a particular amount of money. So what I do is my savings, I take out what I use regularly for school. So I have a class account. I just put little places for this, for that per month.
Correct.
But every month I make sure I put the money in the bank.
Okay.
And then when it's reached a certain amount of money, I put it in the listen. I'm trying to remember the name.
Mutual funds.
Yes, and then they add 15%. What we were saying, but they add
Correct.
So at the end of the year, the money grows.
Correct. You have a different journey?
Yeah, actually, the mutual funds.
Correct. Okay. Well, that's impressive. That's impressive. Does anyone have any other form of investment that you've been doing? A sustainable investment? Yeah, can I have? Okay.
Okay. Investment, I have basically it's not just me. I do it with my sister actually. So what we do is we buy probably a share online. I don't want to mention there's this app that sells shares of top companies. We either buy online or most of the time we just buy gold. And then after some months we sell the gold
Correct.
jewelries. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk about all of this. Well, any other person before we? Yeah.
My own sense of investment is not really financially or
Okay.
art-wise investment. It's more like it's an agricultural investment where I buy fishes, buy small fishes, groom them up. When they are big enough for sale,
You sell them.
you sell them.
Okay.
And also then farming itself. That's another investment I do. You just get a land, maybe you lend the land from someone, you lease the land from someone, then you plant your crops. Then depending onions now, if I was at home by now I would have done all that. Because what I do is I wait for the prices to go high.
Yeah,
and I
off-peak
sell
season
them.
and peak season.
Yes.
Correct. So yeah.
I have one for e-car.
Okay.
E-car services.
Ride-hailing services.
Yes, where I use
Okay.
my car I lease it out. So by every week I get an amount. So it continues like that.
Correct. So one thing I'm very much impressed is that most of us here have an idea about investment. But I'm shocked that nobody has given me a scenario where maybe they lost money or maybe they did one kind of nasty investment. Have we all experienced those kind of things too?
No.
Forex.
I don't.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So one thing that I need to tell you guys is the fact that there cannot be investment journey is not a straight way up. There are bumps.
Yes.
For every investment journey, there are bumps. But like I said, the good thing that you have is time. You have enough time to average out in the long run. Do you understand? There's enough time for you to average out in the long run. Now, it's possible that we must have gotten one or two bad investments or so failed investments that we didn't do proper due diligence, we didn't ask enough questions and all that. But in the long run, we've gotten some skills to either not invest in those kind of assets again or to invest better in them. Now, it's also possible that instead of investing, you probably did a business. That's also another form of it. Because you're able to put in your resources to get more and more resources for yourself, to get more returns for yourself. Do you get? So that's also good. So I'm going to be talking about some different classes of investments that we can do at this age, right? Different classes of investment that we can do at this age. Now, some of them, you guys already know about them, but I'm going to buttress on some of them and maybe also talk about a few of them, the good and pros and the cons, and how we can do them. Remember, this is not financial advice. You understand? This is not financial advice. Financial advice needs to be a personal approach. It's not meant to be a one-size-fits-all, right? We are only discussing here. So if you need financial advice, you need to go one-on-one with the broker, let that professional give you proper financial advice. So whatever we're saying here is not financial advice. We are only trying to seek out better ways in develop ourselves, get more information and so that when we go out there, we can channel these resources into what we feel is going to be best for us. So one of the most common ways that I advise people to start up their investment journey is what we call these mutual funds, fixed deposit, just like what you said and what you also do. These are proven ways that they are very safe in the sense that I do not think that the CBN is going to allow any bank currently to go under. You understand? Because, I mean, that's why we have the NDIC. Remember, the NDIC does not cover all kinds of financial companies. It only covers banks, deposit-taking institutions, microfinance banks, merchant banks, normal commercial banks, and the likes. You understand? If the institution is not a bank, NDIC does not cover them. Do you get? I hope we have that information, right? What?
Yes.
You're not clear on that, right? You're not clear on that.
Is it for only banks?
Yes. Nigerian Deposit Insurance Commission covers bank deposits. So if the institution is not a bank, your deposits are not insured, right? But I'm not saying that any other asset management firm is a bad company. I'm just saying that for us in Nigeria, the governing law that we have that covers deposits, it just only covers for banks, microfinance banks, merchant banks, commercial banks, and mortgage banks, any kind of banks that you have. Why is this? So this is meant to protect the poor people, the masses in short. Because I think they're meant to get a particular amount or so. I think like people that have less than 500k will get paid the amount. Then people that have more than that, later when they recover the money from any failed bank, they'll get their money and all that. But why am I saying this? Is because that's one of the basic forms of starting your investment journey. Through banks, they call it. Some people call it mutual funds. Some people call it fixed deposits and the likes. You understand? Some banks have these services that are embedded in their own in their product papers. Okay, you understand? So what we do is when you give banks this money, the banks use it to lend out to other people for interest. From this interest, maybe they lend it out to people at maybe 30% or so. From this interest, they can pay you this maybe 10% or so in a year, and then use the remaining to work around their own activities. Do you get? So these are the things. These are one of the ways that people invest money. Another way that people invest money is through stocks, bonds. bonds are maybe issued by some big corporates or so. Maybe a big corporate does not want to go to a bank to borrow. Maybe Dangote now is probably selling a bond at 15%. So if you give him 1 million naira, after 1 year, he's going to give you 1,150,000 naira. But before you do those kind of things, you must make sure that the corporate you are giving that money to through a broker, which is maybe like an asset management firm, is a verified broker. Now, in our investment journey, one thing that we need to be very, very wary of is making the right investment, making the right decision. Because if we do not do our due diligence, as investors, we get to find out that we are throwing money away because we may allow that money, maybe invest at the wrong time or invest in the wrong asset class or in the wrong company. So we've spoken about bonds, financial instruments like mutual funds, fixed deposit and all that. We've spoken about shares and stocks, right? Just like I gave you the analogy of Transcorp, right? And what other ways can we invest money? Our parents, when they used to invest, what did they do? So let's buy grains, right? Instead they were buying maize, sorghum. They'll store them in the house. They'll buy them during off-peak season. That's when the harvest season is there. They buy grains and all that. They probably buy a bag for maybe, let's say, 18K or so. And then they buy maybe 100 bags of that and keep it in a place, cover it very well, dry it very well. And by the time there is peak season, that's when it's almost planting season, when goods are scarce, they now go to sell them at higher prices. I think my time is almost up. Okay, let me just cut it down here. Let me just use the next few minutes to entertain any question, please. Let's try and make it snappy so that we can finish up. But I wish I had more time to do. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Michael Chukwudi.
Michael.
Yes.
Yeah.
Federal University of Twike by your sister.
Oh,
so I
cool.
want to ask you, what's your perspective of asset and liability?
So those are two mutually exclusive things,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Assets are things that brings you value, right? Value in terms of money, in terms of interest, in terms of income. You understand? Your car, just like he did, his car is an asset to him. For other people, that car can be a liability because he just keeps sucking fuel and maintenance. But he's been able to convert that asset, that car, into an asset. So asset is anything that brings financial benefit to you. You understand? Financial benefits. While liabilities are things that take away money from you. Someone can have a house like this and it can be a liability. Yes. Because if I have a house and it's not earning me money, it's a liability. Right? I'm not saying it's a bad decision, but I'm just saying that for the purpose of asset and liability, anything that's not earning you money and is not channeling into a part of any money, it's a liability. You understand? This AC that is here, it can be a liability. If it's in my house, just blowing me cool air when I'm sleeping is a liability. But if it's in my eatery, it's an asset to me because it's improving the value of my customers. I don't know if that clears your question.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Any other one,
sir.
please? Yeah. Chukwudi. Yeah.
Preferred
Prince
Charming.
Charming.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you. The question is with regards to the debt section.
Okay.
What about, what's your take on unforeseen circumstances or contingencies? I mean, you have a relationship with the person you're owing, but probably you're a father of a family and probably your child has an accident or some other expenses you need to settle down, and there's the estimated time. So what's...
Okay, so that's why we talked about personal financial management in the first place. Now, when you're saving, once you do your budget and all that, you drop your expenses and your income and all that, and you've been able to channel that amount, right? That maybe 30% of that amount to your savings, right? Remember, your savings. I don't like telling people that they like to save for unforeseen circumstances because when you project something, those things have to come around. You know, it's like a law of nature or something like that, right? I'd rather save for an investment. But if I've been saving and I've saved up to 1 million naira for my investment, and then something happens along the way, maybe there's some things that are not accidents. For example, if my wife is meant to put to bed, that's not an accident. Yes. That's not something that should catch you unawares because you had 9 months to prepare for it. Or probably your child's school fees is due. I mean, you have 3 months to prepare for that. So you're meant to put that into your budget. Factor that into your budget aside from your savings. Do you get? But if you have things like that, once you have a good savings culture, you can easily tap into that savings and clear up that unforeseen circumstance or so. But I do not like to forecast for unforeseen circumstances. I rather forecast to make an investment in the future. But in case something like that happens, that's part of the reason why you have a savings culture. You understand?
Yes.
So I think that, do you still need more clarity on that?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Any more
Thank you.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking about
Sorry, I didn't get name.
Nefteri.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So when trying to like get stock, because I know some of shares, and then sometimes there's probability that the value drops. In a situation where you get an amount of stock and then the value drops, is it sensible to buy more? Because sometimes it can raise up again and you may have an advantage, or is it just sensible to sell it out?
Okay. So there's something called dollar cost averaging. It's called DCA. Sit down, please. Thank you. It's called DCA for short, dollar cost averaging. What that means is, if I buy a stock, let's assume I bought that Tony Transcorp stock at 1 naira 6 kobo, and then it came down to, I bought maybe 500 units at 1 naira 6 kobo, and then it came down to 1 naira. I now bought extra 200 units. You understand? It means I must have used 200,000 naira to buy 200,000 units, right? Now, what it means is that my total cost, or my average cost rather, is going to reduce. The average cost of my portfolio is not going to be 1 naira 6 kobo at that point. It will probably be 1 naira 5 kobo or so. So in some cases, it depends on your firepower. When I mean firepower, I'm talking about the money in your investable funds. In some cases, if the company is a good company, right, and you know that this company has potential to do very much in the future, once you see that that's an opportunity for you to dollar cost average, it means that you're trying to reduce your purchase cost by adding more funds to it. But in cases, this is very rampant for all these people that do trade forex and crypto, right? In some cases, it can be advice because, this asset fluctuates very, very rapidly. So you could see that, you could find out that you're catching a falling knife. And when you catch falling knife, what happens? You understand? You get burnt. So it's good when you have a good foresight about the company you're investing in, the type of company, you know that they have a potential to do well. For example, if you're dealing with maybe a pharmaceutical company right now, you know that a couple of pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria have closed down. What it means is that for those that are still here, they are going to do very well because they'll have more to sell. So if I see that stock goes down, I'm going to go more into it, because it's going to, what can make it go down? It's possible that they are maybe paying dividends or so, or maybe they just pay dividends. Some people want to sell and cash out, or maybe it's Christmas time. Some people want to just sell off and maybe use money to flange. If I get opportunity, I'll buy it at that time. Do you understand? Any more questions before we? You asked a question.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any question before him? Okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, and teach us a lot that we didn't know. Beyond all reasonable doubts, we are grateful. Right? Yes. So feed us with wisdom. I'm sure I really enjoyed this session.
Thank you.
So, what do we say to Mr. Chukwudi?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope to see you guys at the very top. Yes, sir. All right. Bye.
Shady act, or you dey dance, and you dey sing. Rep your campus.